just seems like he's got a complete lack of respect for you, because I mean he's talking about how much he's grown since he's fought and since he's been in the UFC, and he's what's his record, like 9-0 or something, like, or 9-1, something like that. 8-1-0 or something like that. And it totally seems like a lack of respect for you as a fighter, because he said you've kind of just leveled off and you're the same fighter that you were during the Tough Show. And I think we can all kind of agree in here that that's not the case. I mean, you've had some hard fights, bro.
Dude.
You knocked out Riggs. You had a battle with Parisian.
Fight of the year,
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, dude.
Fight of the year. Not only that, Carl Parisian was number 5 in the world at that time, and that's no joke. Beating number 5 in the world in a dominating fashion. And if I would have had 10 more seconds with Carl, it would have been a finish also. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can interpret that kind of talking, a lot of different ways. Some people will say there's no respect. Some people will say he's afraid. You know what I mean? Some people will say that
It's just hype for the fight.
Hype for the fight, but after talking to you, that's clearly not hype for the fight. I mean, you're not backing up your end of that. I mean, he's doing the talking, and it sounds like you're just here to fight.
I asked Dana White. Dana White came to me, and I asked me who I wanted to fight. I told him I wanted to fight Matt Hughes. He said, Diego, you and Matt Hughes are my 2 contenders. Matt Hughes has a rematch clause with George St. Pierre, and Matt told Dana he didn't want to fight St. Pierre right off the bat, that he wanted a tune-up fight, and that's why he fought Chris Lytle. But I told him I wanted Matt Hughes. He's like, no. So I was like, the only other person out there that I really want to kick his ass is Josh Koscheck.
Oh, so you chose this fight.
So you wanted this fight.
Oh yeah, man. There was not too many really people out there. If you look at the names out there, there really isn't anybody else really left.
A lot of people were thinking that it was, people say it's a step down for you. You've already beat the guy.
A lot of people are saying that, but you got to understand, this is it's a business, and it's a fun fight for me. When I fought him the first time, first of all, we trained together for 12 weeks, and he was the guy that was the less experienced MMA guy. So, I was every day showing him, okay, this is how you get out of this move. This is how you get out of this. Every day I'd choke him out like 5 times and put him in arm bars and be like, okay, here, and then I was showing him, he was picking up, he was getting my timing down. We'd roll every day, we'd wrestle every day, and of course, he didn't. We got in there and we fought. Everybody saw the episode where I got alcohol poisoning on the show, and after that, I ended up passing out, falling on my shoulder, dislocating my shoulder. So I didn't get to train for 2 weeks. No one knows that. Chuck Liddell and the trainers in the UFC show know that I didn't do no training for that fight. I felt horrible. I jump rope for 3 minutes warming up, and I was gassed. I was like, "Oh, this is not good." And he got in the first round, I had him in a sick guillotine, and the time ran out. And in my opinion, he was saved by the bell. Then he made it to the end of the round, but obviously I felt I did a lot more damage. If you checked out his face after the fight, it was pretty beat up.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's just I asked for this fight because he got through the fight with the first fight into a decision, and in this next fight, I want to end this. I want to end this chapter of Josh Koscheck. I want to end the chapter, and I want to end it with by putting him to sleep, whether it be a knockout if he wants to stand, or whether it be a submission if he wants to try to take me down.
And can you talk a little bit about your game plan and what, to an extent?
No, with Koscheck, I can talk about my game. Sometimes, with fights, you keep the art of surprise, and it's like, like with Riggs, I wanted to stand with him until I could take him down and beat him up on the ground, but it just ended up not working out like that.
Kind of.
But with Koscheck, he's a good wrestler. Obviously, he's a great wrestler. You know, he's got good takedowns. I think his takedowns have gotten personally worse since we fought, because you know he's just been he thinks he's so good at wrestling that he doesn't need to practice. He thinks he's so good at wrestling that all he can do is train stand up and a little jiu-jitsu here, and think that he's gonna keep his wrestling at that level. But you know, anybody that knows anything about wrestling, when you stop training wrestling, you're gonna get rustier. You know, and I've been here in New Mexico. I've been training very, very hard on my wrestling with my wrestling coach, Joey Bracamonte. And I've also been with Greg Jackson and Keith and Rashad and Nate and all these hardcore badasses. And you know, I know he got some good teammates on AKA. You know, he spars with Swick, and he got the other fighter. What's the other fighter's name? The other 170 pounder?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even
John
know.
Fitch.
Fitch, that's right.
Yeah, so he has some tough guys. Trevor Plainley, Phil Baroni, but not on the level of a Keith Jardine and a Rashad and a Nate, if you ask me. And when you know, my game plan in this fight is to come and get in his face. I'm gonna get in his face. I'm gonna, straight from the get-go, I'm gonna be all over his ass. You know, I'm gonna be imposing my will, my game, my boxing game, trying to knock him out. And if he does like he says he's gonna do, and go in there and fight with me, he's obviously gonna try to implement his kickboxing game. And you know, if once he gets hit in the face a couple times, I'm sure he's gonna probably try to take me down. But everybody knows, you know, on the ground, you know, I'm not an easy guy to hit. Carl Parisian was on top of me, and I'd imagine his jiu-jitsu is far advanced, doing judo since you're 4 years old, working with Gene LaBelle since you're 4 years old. And he wasn't able to ground and pound me. Koscheck is definitely not going to be able to pass my guard and drop elbows on me like he thinks he is. So, you know, wherever the fight goes, I'm just here to scrap and cut him, make him bleed, you know, punish him. And, you know, and perfect night for me, you know, catch him in a rear naked choke, submit his ass, and send him out the back door, you know. Hey, go home, you know. Good try. But, that's
Can you give us a little bit of a rundown of the timeline from now until the fight, like tapering off your training or going to Vegas?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna run the mountain. I'm gonna kill myself out there. Me and Greg Jackson and Leonard Garcia and some of the other teammates. We're gonna get out there on the top of Copper and Tramway and go run that Hill of Tears. And last time I ran really strong, so I think, you know, I'm gonna be able to run even harder this time. And I'm really gonna dedicate myself to this last run and pound it out hardcore and just hit those sprints as hard as I can and beat myself down to the ground. And then on